and welcome to That's One of My Favorites, a podcast with your host, me, Samara.
And I'm Emily.
And we are discussing our favorite movie musicals, some of which we've seen, some of which we haven't, some of which one of us or the other has seen or hasn't. And this time, we ended up pulling out the Matilda the Musical movie, which is a Netflix movie, which is why it took me so long to get it, because we didn't have Netflix for like a minute. And it came out in 2022. Mm-hmm. It's based off of the Roald Dahl. I have a hard time. Roald Dahl's book. Mm-hmm. And also the movie in the 90s.
Which I love. Yeah. So
yes, that is a cute movie. That's one of Daniel's favorites. So, but
I've seen it a multitude of times.
Yeah, and so all of that is based off of the book originally and then the movie. But in 2010, Matilda the Musical debuted, I believe in London, and then moved to Broadway. So that is what the Matilda the Musical movie is based off of. Golly.
Which
There's
a
lot
threw me off. It threw me off the first time watching it because I've seen it several times before.
Okay.
This podcast, but it threw me off that they were all British because I'm so used to the 90s movie with Danny DeVito in it. So I was like, wait, whoa, they're British.
Yeah, so we for 2 seconds talked about it at the end of the last episode that I auditioned for a local theater company, and they were doing Matilda the Musical, and I had never heard the soundtrack before. I never, we didn't have Netflix. I wasn't super duper crazy interested, and so I threw on the soundtrack and was like, huh? Like, my mommy says I'm a miracle. I was like, oh, excuse.
It's not just like British. It's like Cockney.
It
accents
is
a lot.
Yes, it is so thick and so funny. Like the stereotype of British, just my mommy said. That's the first thing you hear. It's so funny. So it threw me for a loop too.
Yeah.
Roald Dahl is what is he?
I don't know.
Roald Dahl's British himself, so we
took it.
Yeah, in the 90s, we were like, we do what we want.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was totally like, oh, this is like, the movie that I grew up with. Nope.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad. Like, I liked it.
Yeah, it's fun to kind of have those. It's almost like we get Matilda every couple of years. Because it came out in 88, and then the movie in the 90s, and then the musical in the 2010s, and now in the 2022s. Mm-hmm. We get, so we're kind of getting it every year or every 10, 20 years.
Which I didn't know that. I knew it was a book, but I didn't know there was a movie in the 80s too.
I didn't know. It's not. The book came out in the 80s.
Oh, okay. I got it. Never mind.
I didn't know it was a book until, gosh, I was embarrassingly old.
I didn't know it was a book until the movie came out, and then it was like based on the book Matilda. So
yeah, I know that I watched the Matilda movie later than, so like, small background. My mom was very conservative growing up. No Harry Potter, no certain TV. No, like, she had a lot of little rules, which some I agree with.
Did.
Huh?
Which a lot of parents did, and a lot of our friend group did. My parents personally did not, but except for like the adult stuff, I wasn't allowed to watch, like The Simpsons and stuff like that. But
yeah, it was definitely like the tail end of the Satanic Panic and into that in the 90s. So I definitely like missed out on a couple of key, like we've talked about in college. I didn't really have a favorite Disney princess because for the longest time I wasn't allowed to watch the Disney princesses because they technically had witchcraft 98% of the time. So while I don't have a favorite Disney princess, I have like Oliver and Company is like top tier, which is one of those underrated, you know. So
Yeah, the
I
animal
watched,
ones.
yeah, a lot of the animal ones. So I watched Matilda a lot later in life. Like I want to say I was probably 13 when I first watched or remember watching Matilda. And that's probably when I realized that it was a book.
Yeah. Well, that's understandable, but
Yeah, no, it is. Which is funny because Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it's like it's up there for my top movie. So it's just funny that it all kind of comes around. Like
yeah.
it's all Roald Dahl, Roald Dahl.
Wait, so Roald Dahl wrote Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Yes, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, technically.
What? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Ah, you learn things. No, I had no clue. Because it doesn't say,
Yeah.
like, it's not like the Matilda where it's like Roald Dahl's Matilda the Musical. It's not like Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's just Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. So I mean, technically, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is the title for Roald Dahl's book.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came out in the movie, it was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Until the Johnny Depp version was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
And then the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory musical is Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know that. You learn things.
Yeah, and you know, I know this isn't about Willy Wonka, but the Willy Wonka version is way darker than the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory version. Like as a aside.
Well, when that rolls around, because I'm sure it's on our list to watch, we'll have to talk about that.
Maybe it might
Maybe.
be. So, the musical, the 2022 musical, was cast and filmed during COVID. Like, peak lockdown of COVID. There were 250 ensemble members. Dance. Most of them were children.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, apparently they took over a hotel room, or like a hotel
They
itself.
created a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They created a bubble with the 250 extras, not including like the main cast. I mean, obviously they were at the hotel, but I mean, I'm just really trying to emphasize that there are 250 ensemble members of this cast that are majority of them are children.
Yeah.
First of all,
more than half.
Oh yeah, I would say 98% of them.
Yeah. There's
Plus,
not
they
very
all had
many
to have,
adults at all.
yeah. Plus, they all had to have chaperones
Mm-hmm.
because they're minors,
Mm-hmm.
and there are child labor laws, as there should be.
Mm-hmm.
So they were working around COVID, child labor laws, and 250 extras.
And I'm sure they had to have like teachers and stuff there too, depending on if it was like during the school year.
God only knows. I know that they said they had COVID tents, COVID nurses, COVID testing like stations. I mean that's literally just the ensemble kids was 200. Whoa. Yeah. So a lot of the auditions were self-taped, which is becoming more common. But it was less common before COVID. And they said, I mean, I looked at an interview and they said they had thousands of kids.
That's
a trillion.
That's kind of crazy to think that they did it in like a little bubble, because it's a good movie. Like costumes are good. Like, it doesn't seem like they skipped on anything. So the fact that it was done, like, I don't know, like not on a huge stage with like a whole bunch of people around it, like in their own little COVID bubble, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm incredibly impressed by this because this movie was phenomenal. Like you said, there was no aspect skipped. In that same interview, they said they used like 150 cakes for the Bruce cake scene.
Mm-hmm.
They had 150 cakes. Like cake just for
And
one
that's a big cake.
2-minute 37-second song.
Yeah.
They had 150 cakes, and that's because cakes melt.
Yeah.
And they were using cake. They weren't using like.
And the fact that the singing like is phenomenal, the dancing is even more phenomenal. Like, wow, that's impressive.
So yeah, and the really cool part about this too was that the original playwright, I don't want to lose his name. Sorry.
You're okay.
I believe it's Tim
Mention.
who wrote Matilda the Musical.
It says the
Dennis
writers
Kelly.
are Dennis Kelly, Tim Minchin, and
Yep.
Roald Dahl.
So Tim Minchin, he brought over the screenplay and was part of the casting and part of like he was there, like
Mm-hmm.
on top of everything. And so the directors of the movie, who are Matthew Warchus, that's how it's phonetic. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. That's how I would say it too.
He and the other casting directors and Tim were the ones who sifted through all of the self tapes, and they said they were like, we have no idea how he picked Matilda, but he picked the most perfect Matilda. But he's been picking Matilda for 12 years.
Yeah, and she is a really good Matilda.
She is. So her name is Alicia Wurr. She is Irish, so that is probably there's some enunciation or pronunciation that I'm missing. But it's Alicia Wurr, and she is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
She's so cute. She did a really good job.
She's adorable, and she can sing and dance and act really well. Like,
Gosh.
the emotional feel, like, roller coaster that you go through on this movie versus like what I grew up on was a lot deeper, and we can get into that later. But I want to talk about how the first time I watched this, I did not, I repeat, did not recognize Emma Thompson.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So of course, you know me.
Yeah.
Barry Goer is the prosthetics designer, which is the prosthetic. I mean, her face is prosthetics, her mouth, her nose, everything is prosthetics.
Everything.
He is the Stranger Things prosthetics designer. Of course, he freaking is.
Yeah.
He's the Game of Thrones prosthetic designer, and Chernobyl, which was a mini series about the Chernobyl incident, which looked really gruesome. But freaking bow down to Barry.
Like, how do you make Emma Thompson unrecognizable? Like, I didn't, when she opened her mouth to speak, I was like, is that Emma Thompson?
The mouth acting.
Yes. I was like, wait, that's Emma Thompson. And I know the tone of her voice. I know like her mannerisms with her mouth. And I looked it up. I was like, oh my gosh, that it is, but it can't be, but it is.
But it surely was.
Uh-huh. And of course, she's always phenomenal. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, and for Doctor Strange, The Witcher, I Last Night in Soho. I mean, this guy is.
He's got his hands in some really top billing stuff.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, it looked so good. And, there was the controversy of Emma Thompson playing Miss Trunchbull. Because, I don't want to use the word canonically, but I mean, since the dawn of Matilda the Musical, it has been played by a male. Circa John Travolta.
They didn't use a male in the 90s version, but then again, that wasn't the musical version, so.
Right. I guess since 2010 in the musical version, Miss Trunchbull has always been played by male.
So it's similar to how they did Hairspray, where her mom's always a male. Gotcha.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you think about what Trunchbull is supposed to be, I mean, it is very rare that you find a 7-foot tall, massively huge woman that's not 1,000 pounds, but it's just like a brick wall.
Yeah.
So they typically cast males in that role.
Well, I can see that, but her prosthetics were...
Oh, yeah. So that was like a little bit of like a controversy. The big controversy was the fact that they put her in a fat suit.
Mm.
And people were like...
But it matches the character. Like, she's a petite woman, so she never would have fit into that Trunchbull role if they didn't put her in a quote-unquote fat suit. Like, they enlarged her breast and then made her more round, but it wasn't... Yeah. I don't feel like she was in, like, a sumo fat suit, you know what I mean? Like, it was very the Trunchbull.
Yeah, I think that she almost, in my opinion, was too proportioned. Too hourglassy.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted her to be like the 90s version where, I mean, again, you're looking at her and you're just going, that is a big woman, but you're not going, ugh. You're going, oh my gosh, like that is a big woman. Yeah. So I think she was almost a little too curvaceous, a little too like bloop bloop bloop.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not super upset when I first heard about it. I was like, I mean, if it has to be Emma Thompson, like because that's what they said. They said this has to be Emma Thompson. She has to do this role. If it has to be Emma Thompson, then make it Emma Thompson and like make her a javelin thrower. I mean, she can still throw the kids. I mean, the fact that she's throwing them by their pigtails is already over exaggerated. So I mean, she could spearhead a kid. And then once I listened to the songs, and once I was like, okay, we have to have her be a shot put or a hammer thrower. Like, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But there for a second, I was like, why are we doing this? And then I was like, oh, I don't care because she's so good.
Yeah, I didn't know any of the actors or actresses going into watching it the first time, so that's why I was like, what?
Emma! It's Emma!
Emma! Oh no!
Oh no, Emma!
What's sad is I totally watched that growing up.
So, I had not seen Mrs. Wormwood before. And even looking at her acting credits while I'm literally talking to you, I had not seen Mrs. Wormwood before. I take it back. She was in an episode of Black Mirror, but like, okay. I did see Mr. Wormwood, but his teeth, like, they did something with his teeth.
Yeah, the prosthetic tooth. They probably did it on purpose to make him look extra ridiculous, but it bothered the crap out of me.
I thought he looked like Napoleon Dynamite's uncle, Uncle Rico.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, is Uncle Rico British? Like, I Googled because I was like, Napoleon Dynamite is like up there with my movies, and are you, like, he's British. He's not. It's a different guy. But like, he was completely unrecognizable because he played either Babyface or Al Pacino in oh my gosh,
Public Enemies.
No. Boardwalk Empire. I binge watched Boardwalk Empire when I lived by myself. In between Memphis and Nashville, and in Lexington. Jesus,
He plays Al Capone.
and he played Al Capone, and I was like, it's Al! Ah!
He
But
also
anyway,
plays in Pirates of the Caribbean.
yeah, apparently completely unrecognizable. The makeup team, again, Barry is freaking nominal. We start this movie off with the song Miracle, which was performed by the little baby voices. So
Which I didn't understand the first time watching it. I was like, what are this? What? I know they're saying something, but I can't understand them.
Yeah, it is a little, it's super cute and it's super authentic, but it is a little hard to understand.
Yeah.
All the colors in the hospital, all the colors in this whole movie, so cute. I was getting super Wes Anderson vibes, like, loved it. Loved it so much. It's so bright and colorful, like, everything about it is so much fun. As far as the vibes. The doctor's rent was due. And so was that one nurse's. They needed to pay their bills, dude. Yeah. He said he had 5 seconds of screen time, and that was all he needed.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill it. Yeah.
Gosh. I went back. I thought that the escapologist, to jump forward a little bit, was the doctor, but it wasn't.
Yeah. I can see where he looks the same, but in my notes, I say, enter Matilda's mom who didn't realize she was pregnant, and the soul-singing doctor who loves babies.
Yeah. So, Miss Wormwood shows up and does not know that she's pregnant. In the Broadway musical play version, so not the screen version, there is a aspect of Mom's character that Mom is a competitive flamenco dancer, and so she didn't know she was pregnant, but also Matilda ruined her freaking life. Because she was on her way with I think she even had like some hot European Fabio partner. I forget his name. I want to say it was like Antonio. Like, it was very stereotype. That was her partner. And they were getting on the plane, and then she was having sickness, and then, oh no. Like, so in that version, like, that's kind of why her parents hate her / her mom really hates her.
Yeah.
And then obviously her dad hates her because she's not a boy. But that part is lost. That part didn't make it to the screen.
And I don't think it didn't really make it to the 90s version either, because they already have a kid. So
yeah, that was the other thing too, is I was missing that aspect. And I almost want to say in the because I just listened to the musical. I didn't actually like see it. I want to say there was a brother in the actual play version as well. But don't quote me on that. But yeah, so that is kind of why the mom hates her, whereas the dad, like, kind of we get a reason, like, the dad's like, no, I want a son. This was my son, and they're like, it's a girl, and he's like, no.
Yeah, it's my son. Yeah.
I didn't really understand why the mom hated her in this one.
I don't think they said. They were just like, she's like, I can't be pregnant. The babies are gross. I mean, they just make it seem like she just really hated kids. Yeah,
I love the contrast in the words where it's like, my mommy says, I'm a snot-nosed brat. Like, it's so, it's the writing of this is phenomenal. The if I could just live in the Wormwood's house,
right? And I love every outfit basically that she pops out with.
Okay, yeah, like, no, there's my favorite outfit. We'll talk about it at the end, but yes, costuming, holy mamma jamma. I love explicitly really the mom. The mom is the only one who genuinely kind of has a costume.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but I couldn't find anybody. I just shout out to the whole costume and wardrobe department. I could not find a single name, but whoever was in charge of that, love it. I want everything.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
Yeah, so the Wormwood's house is like a maximalist paradise. It's very 70s into 80s, bright pinks, bright greens, knickknacks, I mean, I just want it. I just want it so bad. And the school people, the truancy officers just show up. She's, what is she, 5?
No. I think she said she was 9.
She's like 5 in the 90s movie. Yeah, hang on.
I have to look
In
that up.
hospital. We skip ahead. It doesn't say how old she is. How old is Matilda in the musical? She's 5.
Is she?
She's 6. She's 5 again. So she's 5. That girl's supposed to be 5 years old. Well, we are seeing it, though. I think this whole movie is a kid's perspective. So, while we think they necessarily, like, they don't look like 5-year-olds in actual real life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that to them, they look like 5-year-olds. To them, they look like, oh, the big kids. If the kid's 8. Oh, like, you know, I think that's probably what we're seeing a little bit more of. I'll give them grace. It's fine. So she's never been schooled. She's never gone to school, but she is, I didn't know how they didn't know. And this isn't just a criticism on the musical. This is just a criticism on the Matilda in general. How did the truancy officers not know? Like, how did they just show up and they're like, oh, hey, you haven't been to school. Okay.
Well, but I feel like they do that in real life too. Like they know based off of something that you're supposed to have a school age child.
Maybe. I mean, I don't have a school age child yet, so maybe. I do know that, like, as a homeschooler, we had people knock on our doors constantly. Like, people, like, CPS came a couple times and was like, hey, what's up? So.
And I don't know exactly how that works, but I do know, like, if you don't send your kid to school, they will show up and be like, why is your kid not in school? And then you'll get fined and have jail time, usually.
Oh, great. Good. Love that. I mean, good. Honestly, like, love that. They need to. But anyway, so, they're not sending her to school. They try to lie and say they're homeschooling her. But then Matilda's like gonna go along with it. Like, she's like, you know, whatever you say, Mom, whatever you say, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Miss Honey talks to her and was like, hey, we read books. Ooh.
Yeah, we talk about books and literature.
Also, so before this instance, Matilda's little favorite place to go is the library cart or the library mobile with Miss Phelps, who is a wonderful human being, and I love her. That she is who I want to be. Like, I want kids to feel safe like that with me.
Yeah. I love her.
And maybe that, yeah, like, I was very much like, this is goals. She's hanging out with Matilda's. She's hanging out on the roof. She's like, hey, I'm shutting down. I've closed everything up. You gotta go. And she just keeps saying the sweetest thing, like, you're so great, Matilda. I bet your parents love you. And Matilda just lies. She's just like, yeah, they say they love me. They tell me every day. And in reality, she's, like, locked in a dungeon.
Yeah.
She's in the attic.
Which is a stark contrast to their house downstairs.
Oh yeah, it's literally an attic. It's pitch black dark almost. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's void of color. Um, and so yeah, Miss Honey shows up. Her eyebrows were so intense. Like this whole movie, I was like, are those her real eyebrows? Was that a choice? What are we doing?
The
I
whole
mean,
movie
she's
you're
a
watching
beautiful
her
woman.
eyebrow.
She's apparently a Bond girl. She's stunning. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was a little bit like, wow, they are some eyebrows. Woo! But she's a beautiful woman. She's black in this
Mm-hmm.
version.
Mm-hmm.
Which is awesome. I mean, it was just that's great, but it was a little bit of a contrast, and it was unfortunately it was unexpected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that too, but she did a fantastic job. Like, I really liked her
Oh my
um,
gosh, she did so
character.
phenomenal. Um. So. And also, and they were kind of tinted green. Like, I was really obsessed with her eyebrows at 10 o'clock at night. I was like, what's going on? And then I also was confused for a minute because I was like, instead of her doing magic, they're just making her a superhuman gymnastics person, a gymnast.
Oh, at first?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was really confused for a second because I remember the scene in Matilda of, do 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 do, and she's magicking all over our kitchen, but I don't remember where it falls in the timeline.
It falls pretty with how this one goes. She has to find herself first, like find the gift,
Okay,
and get angry enough at.
so it's
In
later.
this case, it was her parents, not
Yeah,
just the Trunchbull, that caused her to find her. Well, no,
yeah.
I guess her dad is really the catalyst of when she finds out that maybe she is telekinesis, in the words of
Well,
one of the kids.
yeah, telekinesis. Yeah. So she does this whole gymnastics thing. She talks about she's being naughty. She told in in telling the truth, she's being naughty, which I thought was a
Hmm.
little bit of a weird contrast. Because her family's not safe, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So her family was trying to keep her, I guess, at home. My thing is send her to boarding school if you hate her that much.
Yeah. Well, I think it was just
Um,
they didn't think about her. Like, they're like, oh, we do have a kid and we do have to send her to school. Like, oops.
well, but they were against it at first. They were saying unless they were just worried that they were going to get in trouble.
Probably.
Because I was like, well, why wouldn't you just send her to, like, bye, see you later? Um, I don't know. So she sings the song Naughty, and she's doing backflips, and she's balancing on her hands on a roof, and she puts the hair dye on her mom's a cosmetologist.
Hmm.
So she takes her mom's hair dye, puts it in her dad's like hair oil. It turns his hair green. He immediately is like, Matilda, I know it was you. And then she's, of course, she's pretending to be asleep, so he doesn't think it was her. But I was like, this kid gets blamed. Like, maybe it's just because I worked with these kids before, but I was like, dude, this sucks.
No. And we'll get later in the movie when a certain song comes up that just absolutely gut wrenches you, that I've like, and it
Yeah.
brings it all to like how much she's actually struggling with her home life, because she really suppresses a lot of what she's going through, especially with Mrs. Phelps. Like, she's like, oh yeah, my parents love me, they're gonna be missing me, I better go home. Like,
Yeah.
as an adult watching this, I'm like, somebody just like love her, like hug her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely really upsetting. So she goes to Mrs. Phelps, like before school because she gets to school early.
Mm-hmm.
She's so excited. Like she just
Mm-hmm.
wants to go to Miss Honey's class. She's so excited to read books. So she goes with Miss Phelps and she tells her about this story that she's writing
Mm-hmm.
about an escapologist, a scopologist.
Which I didn't know was a real word.
the way that they pronounce it is funny, but I'm going to pronounce it as a Virginian woman, escapologist.
Uh-huh.
Escapologist. There we go. Escapologist.
Escapologist. Yeah. Well, I didn't even think escapeologist was like a word.
Oh no, that's a word. I do know that. I just didn't know
Just
escapologist.
Like a magician? I don't know.
Houdini. That's who
Yeah.
it usually gets. It usually is probably escape artist. Like
That's yes, escape
yeah.
artist, not escapeologist. Yeah, that was new. Anyways.
Yeah. So she talks about the story about an escapologist. It's gone. And a acrobat.
It's gone.
And this was really funny because, like, for a minute you're absorbed into this story and you're like, wow, this kid is telling this so intelligible, so well written story about a woman acrobat and a man escapologist who literally, they're married and they want to have a kid and they can't have a kid and they're lamenting, and then they're going to perform this ding. They just keep egging on for more danger. They need more and more hits of adrenaline. And then they're going to perform the most dangerous feat. The burning woman hurling through the air with dynamite in her hair over sharks and spiky objects caught by the man locked in the cage. The most dangerous feat ever in the world ever. I was like, oh yeah, a kid is saying this.
Well, and you have the reaction of Miss Phelps. She's like, what's next?
Oh yeah, Miss Phelps is in it. It's because again, it wrapped. I was like, why are we talking about this? But also, I would pay to see that movie. Like, but it really did. I mean, because again, it's so intelligible. It's so beautifully, like the way that she's speaking about it, and then it's literally like the burning woman thrown through the air with dynamite in her hair over sharks and spiky things, and I'm like, yeah, a child. She's 5.
Uh-huh.
Right. Got it. And she says these things just, I mean, the writing for this is so good. Because, I mean, that just really, again, you're like, oh, yeah, she's so smart. She's so good. She's a child. I got it. And I think that we forget that. Like, I definitely feel like we do that to kids a lot. Like, where we put so much on them because they're so intelligent or they're so advanced or they do this or they do that. Like, Ruby can communicate so well that sometimes when I talk to her, I'm like, I get frustrated because I'm like, why can't you do this? Because she's 2.
Yeah.
She's literally 2. She spent 98% of her life as a potato on the floor. She doesn't, just because she can talk to me, like, so I think we definitely do that a lot as a kid. And like, that was just that hit in the writing for me. I was like, yep, my heart.
Like, she's smart, but she still has the mannerisms of like a kid telling a story.
Oh yeah, definitely. And she tells Miss Phelps that it comes in phases. She gets like bursts of the tale.
Inspiration, yeah.
Yeah. So she goes to school and there's another little girl who also is kind of in the same situation. And she has a lizard named Isaac, and all I have is, if anything happens to the lizard, I swear to God, I'll kill myself.
Yeah, that's Lavender.
Yeah, Lavender. But I literally, that's all I have is, like, if anything happens to Isaac, I will kill myself right here.
Whereas I know the little girl's name, you know the lizard, the newt's name is
Isaac.
Isaac.
Yeah, his name is Isaac. Yeah. And I was so freaking worried about him all movie.
Well, I mean, it's like, where's Toto? Where's Isaac?
Where's Isaac? Yeah. I'm like, Toto could get hit by a car at this point, but like, Isaac, no. Oh, God.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like cat, dog, horse, like any fuzzy animal. Forget the lizard, amphibian, snakes. I'm out of here.
I gotta go. Yeah, so she meets Lavender, who becomes her de facto BFF. This girl in the blonde hair, I don't know what side of TikTok you were on in 2021, 2022, but this girl was all over my For You page.
The one with the beret?
Yes, the one with the beret and the broken arm.
Who's her character? They never explain who she is and why she's just randomly popping up singing to him.
So, yeah, the little girl, I don't know who that girl was either, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
They just
see.
walk through the gate, and then she's like, "So you think you know everything? Like, who are you, ma'am? Like,
did I say that I know everything?
and why are you allowed to wear like a red beret when everybody else is obviously very strictly in the dress code?"
It was a little bit odd. Oh, it's Hortanesia. I don't know how to pronounce her name. In the I don't know how to pronounce her name in real life. Misha Garbett. But yeah, so whatever side of TikTok that I was on was completely dedicated to this girl and to this movie and to the ending Revolting Children dance. Which we'll go ahead and talk about the choreography now. Ellen Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking phenomenal. This is the first time that I've watched a musical, and been like, this choreography is phenomenal. Like, this choreography is so good.
Even
normally
the first time you see the kids in the school where they're singing like the A to Z song, or what, I don't know what it's called, where it's very cleverly telling you the alphabet through their song. Mm-hmm. Even it's like simple choreography, but it's good choreography.
Well, in that too, it's very militant choreography. Like that, it's very, up, down, hands behind your back, and up, and left, and right. Which is that song. Like, that song is about being militant. That song is about Trunchbull. So I mean, it fits perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
With, the fact that it's a militant song. I mean, Ellen Kane, she did the she did the choreography for the actual stage. And they did, she did Legally Blonde, West Side Story, and Chorus Line on stage as well. And then she did the 2019 Cats, but we don't talk about that.
No. It doesn't exist.
But yeah, so in the interview that I was reading, they did 12 weeks of like daily rigorous training with the 250 on like every day for 12 weeks. They did the choreography training and stuff, or dance training. And all these kids already had a background in dance anyway. So I mean, they just drilled it. But Ellen Kane is phenomenal. It's the only time that I've actually been watching a musical and been like, this is a little bit naughty. Like, okay, yeah, go. Like, I feel that. Like, I was stunned by the choreography.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the little blonde girl took over my FYP. But yeah, they don't actually say her name or her character, thinking about it.
Yeah. That was one of my notes. I was like, I don't know who you are, but I guess go off. Like, you tell the story, girl. You tell it.
The ABC song with the Perfects was really cute and clever.
Uh-huh.
Like, I thought that was really fun. There was a few of them that I was like, I'll give it to you. But, no.
Like, well, yeah, because it wasn't actually the letter, but it sounded like why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so cute. So Emma Thompson, we already kind of talked about, but and before that, Matilda finishes off the grown-ups' work. So she gets to Miss Honey's class, and the one little boy is like freaking out, having like a stroke because the adult class had left up their equations. And Matilda goes and she says to polish them off, meaning to wipe down the board. But Matilda polishes them off.
Yeah. You talking about Nigel?
Yeah, Nigel.
He's so cute,
It's
though.
hitting my brain.
Yeah. Take deep breaths, Nigel. It's like, I feel that
Yes.
good. I hate math too.
And I love that she lists off like Grapes of Wrath, Mice of Men. Like, what books have you read? Jane Austen, Jane Eyre, Cat in the Hat. I was like, yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. All stuff that we
College
were
now.
forced to read in like high school and college, and then the Cat in the Hat.
The Cat in the Hat. Yep. So back to Emma Thompson being absolutely phenomenal. She's introduced in this moment, and her song is super fun. Like, when you throw the hammer.
Yeah.
She clearly peaked in whatever, I don't want to say college or high school. I mean, whatever she peaked in that, the Olympic era.
Yeah.
The
grasps onto that. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything she does is by that. You don't step out of the circle. It was giving me very much like, stick to the status quo. Like, I was
High School
there.
Musical. Yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
I loved the Children Are Maggots is their school. It was like Sigma
In
Cum
Latin.
Laude. Like,
Yeah.
yes. And she made the kids say that. I mean, I just have her makeup is amazing. She's so like.
Again, I'll reiterate. I didn't know it was Emma Thompson. That's how good it was.
There were certain angles that she would hit that I was like, and then it would be gone completely.
Well, as soon as I knew it was her, I could see it was her, like, in there.
Right.
But at first I was like, oh my gosh.
No. Have you seen Emma Thompson as Mrs. Lovett?
Yes. I've seen clips of it. Yes.
It's so good. She's so phenomenal.
When is she not good? When is she not good?
Well, I had really only remembered seeing her in, is it Love Actually?
Mm-hmm.
Or there were like 4 of them that came out at the same time.
Yeah.
But the one where she's the prime minister's wife that he's cheating on Snape with, yeah. Whichever one that is. That's the only time that I ever really... Oh, she's Nanny McPhee, isn't she?
Mm-hmm. She's Mrs. Trelawney in Harry Potter.
Yes. She's just a really good actress.
Yeah.
And this makeup is really good, too.
She is one actress that can't be, like, put in
a box.
A box, yeah. Like, there's no... What's the word I'm looking for where you're, like, stuck in...
Typecast?
She's not typecasted ever.
No. If I had to pick a typecast, I'd say maybe like the kooky character, like not even villain or not villain, or like just kooky. She's a little kooky.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely see that with Miss Trelawney.
So I cackled audibly when she said, when she goes home, she says, "Mom, want to hear about my first day at school? Yuck, I'd rather eat worms." I was like... I mean,
no.
These people are just... I mean, this mom is a child.
Yes.
I don't understand how she's been alive. And he keeps calling her boy. The dad keeps calling her boy. Like, well, what do you mean, boy, or whatever? And she's like, I'm a gal. Stop.
Yeah.
The jumpsuit that the mom wears in this scene when she's stretching while the dad is talking about how he's gonna sell the car. He has 2 luxury cars, and one of them is beaten up in the back and one of them is beaten up in the front. So he's gonna cut them in half and glue them back together.
Is it the super colorful one?
Yes, it's like yellow with like and she's stretching.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
In a size that I can, please God, love it, so good. That's probably like my top right there. Because some of the not that this isn't out of place because she's at home and also she's like yoga stretching while she's wearing this like silk jumpsuit. But I mean, I was like, yup, I'd wear it too. If I had a silk jumpsuit like that, I'd wear it all the time.
Yeah.
So when she's talking to her friend on the playground and the girl with the braids, that's when it clicked with me who that little girl was. She was about to get just straight thrown out of wherever.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, they're talking for a while and she just keeps doing this. She just keeps running her hand over her braid, like nervously, to the point where I was getting annoyed. Like, I was like, what is this little, like, you know how they talk about sometimes background actors will suddenly be like, I'd like to order fries with my number 3, please. Like, I was like, is this little girl just like panicking? And if she's panicking, why didn't they move her? Like,
yeah.
But she, of course, is, I believe her name is Abigail.
Yeah. And she's afraid that the Trunchbull is going to freak out about her braids.
Yep. So, so this is my qualm, I guess I should say. Bruce looks like he's wearing a pillow.
Yeah, I don't, like, the contrast between, and sorry, I probably just hit my mic, so that probably sounded weird. The contrast between how they had Emma Thompson as the Trunchbull, obviously wearing some form of enhancement for her breast, her stomach, her butt, everything. Bruce just looks like they stuffed a pillow up his shirt and said, go. Because, like, his proportions, like his little skinny legs, his Humpty Dumpty looking body, it wasn't, it bothered me.
It's jarringly, aggressively off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think that you should put a little boy in a fat suit? No, absolutely not. Do I think that you should necessarily get a fat child and be like, you're the fat character?
Yeah.
No. I wouldn't even, I don't even like using the word fat child, but like, do I think that you should do that? Obviously not. But you're telling me that we couldn't find a little husky little boy who could also dance? Or not even that, but like, Bruce doesn't have to be visually fat.
Well, they do talk about his tummy in one of the songs, but that doesn't mean he has to be like morbidly obese. Like, he could be just a little plump, like a kid that hasn't grown out of his baby fat. You know what I mean?
Or not even that, but like, I think of Brent in college, who was a swimmer. I think of the whole swim team, but Brent's like one of my best friends. I think of Brent in college. That kid could out-eat any freaking person.
Yeah, that's very true. That's true.
Legitimately, that kid could. Brent out-ate me, out-ate everybody. Like, we vacuumed up everyone's leftovers if it was good enough.
I know other people like that. I'm not going to say their names on here because she would absolutely slap me across the face. But who is constantly hungry, but is always like,
right.
Tiny.
So it's not. I feel like we're past the point of like, fat is funny. Like, I think we're definitely past that point. I don't think the kid had to be a visually large kid. And if they did, why did you make him? It looks square. It looks like he has a pillow.
He looks like Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, but Humpty Dumpty is round.
Like, I just think, like, the way they made his belly look, and then his little tiny legs, like, so he's not proportionate.
It was a very, like, for as good as the makeup and the hair and the everything had been, this was the one thing that I was like, hey guys, did you forget? Like, I don't know. I just felt like that, on, like, and yes, they talk about his tummy, but like, you could still talk about his ironclad tummy and he'd be this big. Like, we all know that person. We all know that kid, for that matter. Like, I mean, there are days where, you know, like, my Ruby will eat, and I'm like, you're gonna eat me out of house and home. And she's this big. Or, like, my sister is, like, the size of a pencil, and has always been the size of a pencil, but she always, like, when she was younger, she would eat. Like, it wasn't like she wasn't eating. Like, I don't know. That was the one thing that I was like, hey, guys, what do we do with Bruce here?
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
So, I don't know. So, the Trunchbull comes out because somebody glued her pants to the seat. Somebody put glue.
Nigel's running from her.
Yeah, and Nigel is saying he didn't do it, but he's running.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she lines up all the kids, and Matilda has him hidden under blazers. And, you know, she's like, where's Nigel? She's like, under the blazers. Where he's been for the past hour. He suffers from narcolepsy, scervosia, la 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 la. Which I'm like, Miss Trunchbull should have medical records. But okay.
Right. At the same time, she doesn't care enough.
That's fair. She doesn't really care. So they get Nigel off the hook, but then she decides that Abigail's braids are disgusting and picks up Abigail. And I have kid broke, neck broke, body broke, pigtail broke. Like, that's all I have.
It would crack me up that what I would think is a semi-kids friendly movie, go make sure she's still alive, like, was one of her lines.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody go make sure she's still alive.
What? And then she's alive, and she's like, yeah!
Yeah.
Woo! Like, she does, like, the War and Peace, like, woo!
Yeah. That was fun! Yeah.
Yeah, so Miss Honey tries to get more books from Matilda. Trunchbull tells her that no kids are special, particularly that Matilda is an awful child, because Matilda's dad called and was like, she's an awful child. I don't know. So then there's the scene with the cake, speaking of Bruce. I actually kind of gagged a little bit when okay. I don't know if I'm going to get through this. So, somebody has eaten a slice of Miss Trunchbull's chocolate cake. And she is blaming, who does she blame? She just comes
Matilda.
in blaming. Okay, so she just comes in and she's like, Matilda, you ate my chocolate cake. Poo-poo on you. You're going to the chokey. Which is like, what's the chokey? And then Bruce lets out again, this is a kid's movie, so I mean, it's like, burp, goes on for like 20 minutes. And a bubble of burp, the burp particles, so that you can visually see that the smell is getting to Trunchbull. When it hits her face and she goes with her tongue, I almost gagged myself again. When she started lapping that, okay.
Yeah, because at first she's like,
yeah, no, I had a very hard time. I'm still having a hard time. My eyes are freaking watering. I wish it was playing. Oh, okay. I almost got sick again. Almost got sick. That part was disgusting. So, of course, now we get to the Bruce cake scene. This choreography, holy crap, there's choreography, there's tableography, I guess. I don't even know. There's a costume change. There's 150 cakes.
Yeah.
That were made for this one scene.
And these kids, like, I don't think people understand, these kids range from, like, 10 to, like, maybe 15? Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, but like we said, Matilda, she was born in 2009, so what is that?
I think
she's 11.
At the time, she was, like, 11 or 12.
Yeah, so she's, like, 10, 11, 12 when this movie's coming out. And she's supposed to be 5. So, I mean, yeah, that's probably a good range of, like, these kids are probably 10 till maybe 15 if you look like you're still little. And this choreography just goes so freaking hard.
These kids are talented.
Oh my gosh, yes. I can't wait to. I mean, this was Alicia's first musical thing.
Yeah.
And apparently she sang something from Mary Poppins. And they were like, it was the
She sang something from Mary Poppins to get the
yeah, in
role.
her self-tape. Yeah. And the people who weren't original, like not Tim, so just the regular casting directors and the director, they said that they were kind of like, this is nothing like Matilda. It's not giving Matilda. It's not like, but Tim was like, that's freaking Matilda. Like, there's something in her eyes. There's something, like, that's Matilda.
And he was right.
And they were like, okay, sure. You know, they were like, you've been doing this for 12 years. So, like, absolutely. But, I mean, they even were like, the song choice was kind of weird. Like, everything about it was kind of like, okay, sure. And, I mean, at that point, they've been looking through thousands of self-tapes of kids, you know, just, come on. But, nope, they found her. So the kid gets sent to the chokey, even though he ate the cake.
Mm-hmm.
And Matilda kind of wiggles something with her powers and is like, oop.
Yeah.
Like something starts vibrating.
She also, for the first time ever, told the Trunchbull no.
Oh, yeah. She's like the first person in history. Yeah. I love Miss Honey's reaction to Bruce eating the cake.
Yeah.
Like all the kids are going, you know, go Bruce, woo, woo. And then Miss Honey's like, go Bruce. And I think what makes it so much more funny too is the kids in the world of the movie aren't actually dancing and costuming.
Yeah.
They're just sitting there. Maybe they're going, go Bruce, go. Like they're, you know, whatever.
Quietly, yeah.
But I mean, like, it goes from this massive, like, we see them being like, go, Bruce, go, dance, boom, in gold costumes. But in reality, it's quiet.
Yeah.
So then Miss Honey's like, wow! And it completely is so freaking hilarious to me.
And the response to that is, that's okay. We all get carried away sometimes.
Oh, yeah, we all get carried away. I had to look up what titchy means.
Uh-huh.
When they are singing the song about her being tiny and titchy and whatever, I was like, what is titchy?
What is titchy?
Titchy means small. Means very small. So it's just a bunch of synonyms for very small.
Mm.
Yeah, so she also, is this the part where... Yeah, so as this is going on, she's still talking to Miss Phelps about the escapologist and the acrobat. And this is where she discovers her powers because she is imagining that she is in the basement getting yelled at and the trash can's getting crushed, but then it's actually her trash can that's getting crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was a really cool contrast.
Yeah.
That she was getting the kind of vision-y flash.
Yeah.
Fizz. The When I Grow Up song made me kind of emotional.
It was so cute.
I got a little emotional because, like, particularly this week, I've been, like, all up in my feelings. Like, I have been so negative and so whatever. And I was like, when did we lose that?
Yeah.
Like, there was one part where it was like, I'm going to do all the things that my mom pretends aren't fun. And I was like, freaking shut up, child. Like,
don't put me in my feels right now.
Literally that whole song, When I Grow Up, I was like... No, because like we lose that. I'm like, not to get super whatever, but like we really do lose that so much. And I just was sitting there and I was just like, Samara, you've got to be kidding. Like it was not good.
Well, this movie made me tear up at a different song, and we'll that's coming up.
Sure. But that for me, that was like the song for me that I was like, I hate this movie and I hate Matilda and screw you, bunch of children.
You're making me feel
like,
really old.
I really did. I was like, oh my god, like I'm almost 30 and no,
I am 30.
Anyway, so Matilda goes on with her story about the escapologist and the the trash can part's this part. My bad. Apologize.
Okay.
So the acrobat and the escapologist are going to do their feat. Everybody in the whole world is there. And they say they can't do it because she's pregnant. Mm-hmm. But the evil step-aunt had them sign a contract, and the contract said that they had to do it because if they, like, the end, they had a contract. They'll go to jail. They'll be shot to death. I don't even know. So they have to do the feat. And the step-aunt also, by the way, like, side note, the step-aunt is a former Olympic hammer thrower. What? The step-aunt, what?
Looks a little bit like the Trunchbull.
But isn't Emma Thompson. Just as an FYI. I looked it up, not her.
Yeah.
So they perform the feat. They make it totally fine, but then something goes wrong, and he drops the acrobat, who is the wife, who is pregnant. She breaks every bone in her body, but somehow survives, and the baby also survives completely undamaged. And then she gives birth to the baby, and then passes away. And I was like, Matilda, this story, because at this point, we don't know that there's any connection.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm like, what the frick, Matilda? Like, hello?
Dark 4 or 5-year-old? Yeah. And you're having...
And Miss Phelps.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're having the same reactions as Miss Phelps. She's like, where's this coming
Miss
from?
Phelps.
Like,
it's starting to kind of question home, which, like,
okay?
Good. Thank God. Yeah, so... Yeah, it was a lot. The kids, but because she told Miss Trunchbull no now, the kids are starting to, like, slip Matilda items. They're starting to kind of like, oh, hey, Matilda, I knit you a sweater, and I bought you a cheese. Lavender's like, a cheese sandwich? What?
And
a
then
cheese
proceeds
sandwich?
to eat it.
Oh yeah, she's like, oh no, I'm her agent, thank you. She gives it to Isaac, who's still fine, by the way, he's still good. Just so you know, Isaac's fine. But Trunchbull sees this because Trunchbull has eyes everywhere, and she's like, no, absolutely not. We're not doing that. I don't understand, and I never thought about it until, like, this moment. What is this trend of people who hate kids becoming in charge of kids? Or, like, it was a really big, in the 90s, in the 80s, it was a big trope. Or, like, you think about Miss Hannigan, or you think about Miss Trunchbull. Like, if you hate kids, don't work with them.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that.
The end. It just doesn't make sense. So she's really, like, she just comes out and she's like, you guys are doing physical education. You guys are having too much fun. You guys are doing physical education, and it's pouring down rain. It's sopping wet. There's mud everywhere. This must have been a blast to film. I would have loved to have been on set that day.
Yeah.
Because they are just rolling in the mud. But the kids are kind of starting to, like, buck up. They're starting to kind of buck back. So Miss Trunchbull's going off on stuff, and Lavender puts Isaac in the water cup.
Yeah.
And this is where I was like, Isaac, are you going to be okay? Isaac, But Miss Trunchbull drinks the cup from the cup, sees Isaac, and actually, like, you know, I hate to say it, like, acts like a girl. Like, is for once we see, like, some vulnerability even, or, like, you know, she's, like, she's squeeing, like, a little, like, the stereotype a little bit.
Yeah. My total reaction if there was a newt in my glass, honestly.
I don't even think that the mom from freaking Parent Trap reacted that way, and that's what I would have expected, but whatever.
Oh, Meredith.
So, oh yeah, Meredith. I was like, I wanted to say Avion, but that was the bottle that she drank.
Yeah, that was the water. Yeah.
Yeah. So she freaks out and she just picks the kid to blame. Like, she's just like, you did this.
It just so happens to be Nigel.
Yeah, it just so happens to be Nigel. Oh, excuse me. So then Matilda's just like, you stupid, mean, bigoted woman. I mean, Matilda just goes freaking ham.
Uh-huh.
And Trunchbull, like, I mean, the world stops. And it does. She sings a song about how, like, it's finally quiet in her mind. Like, she's like, you know what?
This is the song that had me tearing up. And
oh, really?
Yes. And I feel like from what I grasped from it is this song is like how she coped in her house all along. Because all of the adults around her, except for Miss Honey, all they've ever done is call her names, yell at her, tell her like how worthless she is. So in her brain, she just goes to her quiet spot. So that's kind of what she's doing when the Trunchbull is like, I mean, obviously blatantly yelling at her, but you can't hear her because she's muffled it out. And it's just quiet, but a simple kind of quiet, like in her brain, like that's where she retreats from. And I was like, I feel like this is how she copes with the trauma that she's been through. So I was like, this is so heart-wrenching to me that she's having to do this. So that's how I grasped it. But
no, that makes a lot of sense for sure. Definitely, I could see that. Excuse me. So in this quiet moment, she outright uses her powers and throws the cup at Miss Trunchbull. I was not expecting the cup to be that thick. Like, when it like thong, I was like, oh, it's like a ceramic cup. Jesus. And then the newt goes down her pants, and there's a newt in my knickers. Like, she's just running. She's just going insane. And Miss Honey is like, everybody go back to class quick. Matilda, come with me. And Miss Honey takes her to like a shed, a couple, you know, in the back of the school building, like kind of a couple miles away maybe. And she explains that and I love the little part that's like, they don't pay teachers enough. No, they don't.
Yeah.
But I'm still like, I'm also just more poor than that though. She explains that her parents died and her step-aunt made her sign a contract and told her that her dad just died mysteriously, and
she puts a scarf around her neck that looks like the scarf in her vision, like in her story.
Yeah, and you find out that Miss Honey is the acrobat and escapologist's daughter, and that the whole story was real, and Miss Trunchbull is her step-aunt, and Miss Trunchbull has somehow swindled her way into the house and owning basically Miss Honey.
But I don't understand how she gets these visions.
I'm assuming that it's just part of the telekinetic powers that she can kind of like read minds or energies.
Like, doesn't know that she is?
Yeah, like I'm assuming that she's just in her brain. She's just like, you know, oh yeah, I am reading a story, blah blah blah, and in reality, she's, you know, like, she's probably thinking about Mrs. Phelps' life or Miss Honey's life, or, you know, it's not really explained. I guess it doesn't have to be, but
yeah, I mean, it's always
a little bit like,
I know it's part of the story, but I was just still like, where, like, how is she figuring out that like, obviously she finds out that it's real, but how did she get that in her brain in the first part? But I guess if she's telekinetic or whatever, that she can figure it out that way. But
yeah, it's not super cut and clean. But I kind of like I'm taking this for like what it's worth and like who it's for and things like that. So Matilda at this point is furious. Like she's like, it is X Games mode. Let's go. I'm done. She goes home and her dad has they were rolling in dough because he kept selling cars to these guys, but it turns out they were in the mafia and he was scamming the mafia, so they gotta go. They gotta dip. So they're gonna take her away after school the next day. Which again, I'm like, why? If you hate this kid, why are you taking her with you?
Right.
Like, hello? So they have to flee. Miss Trunchbull, when they get back to school the next day, Miss Trunchbull has replaced it with the classroom with the most sterile environment. It's just she took all the fun away, all of Miss Honey's beautiful, which is a very good metaphor for like what is actually happening in, at least in America. I don't know what's going on in the other, like across the world, but I mean, at least in America, teachers are not treated correctly at all.
No, they haven't been for a while.
So she decides that if they misspell a word, she's going to give them a spelling test. They're having too much fun. If they misspell a word, then they will be sent to the chokey.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts off with like some pretty moderate. Again, we're assuming these kids are 5, so some pretty decently difficult words, but the kids are getting them right.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just getting more mad and more mad, and then she finally hollers out like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, like something that is just completely. And Miss Honey says, "You made that up," like, no. And of course it's spelled incorrectly. And so she opens the new chokey, which is underneath of her, and she's like, "Get in the chokey," which we haven't really explained, but I mean, the chokey is basically a box with nails. I'm like, how are we getting away with this? But I digress.
Well, and we also, like right before this, the chokey is like blown up by Matilda's mind.
Oh yeah.
The original chokey.
Yeah, so the original chokey is gone. She's built a new chokey.
Mm-hmm.
So then Nigel or Lavender, somebody gets up and it starts spelling the word incorrectly. He's like, cat, QRP. You have to put me in the chokey. And then they're all like, you can't put us all in the chokey. So they're all just hollering like dog, LMNOP. Like they're just hollering out words. Turns out she made a chokey for everybody. Boom. Chokey time. And now everybody's starting to panic. But Matilda uses her mind and writes out Agatha, which is Trunchbull's name.
Uh-huh.
This is
Magnus?
Magnus? Yeah, Magnus. This is Magnus, which is Miss Honey's dad. Give Jenny back the house, or I'll come after you. Like, she starts basically making her think that Magnus's ghost is here.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, it's a trick, it's a trap, but then the chains come up, and the chains start grabbing her, and, I mean, Matilda has gone full-blown Carrie. Like,
yeah.
It is go time.
I thought of the same thing. Like, I was like, she's gone Harry on Miss Trunchbull.
She's gone Carrie. So the ghost flings Trunchbull out. Everybody, dude, revolting children. This is what was all over my TikTok, particularly the little girl with the beret. I mean, when she's like, "We're a little bit naughty." I mean, this choreography goes so hard. It's so good.
No,
this
I agree.
Song for revolting children, so good, so good. So of course Agatha's gone. Miss Honey takes over, but then her parents show up and they're like, "Let's go, get in the car. We gotta go. We gotta be in Aruba in 5 minutes. Let's go get in the airplane." Okay, so here it's hot take here. I don't remember much about the original movie, and I don't know about the book. Miss Honey and Matilda were not friends like that.
In the
Miss
90s
Phelps?
movie?
No, in this movie right now.
Yeah. They don't bond as
Miss
much
Phelps?
as the original.
No.
Yeah.
In the original movie, they hang out more. She secretly helps her more. She sees her potential more, blah, blah, blah. In this movie, I was like, that's a stranger. Stranger danger. I don't care that she's seeing visions. Stranger.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering if Miss Phelps was going to take her at this point.
That would have made more
like,
sense for how bonded they were compared to how bonded her and Miss Honey were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I thought Miss Phelps was going to pull up, like, burp, 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 burp. Hi, I'm the new librarian, or, you know, whatever. And Miss Hilda, I love you. I'll take you. We'll never leave. And I'll open a library with Miss Honey. Like, even lesbian lovers. Like, I don't know. I just was like, why? Miss Honey is a stranger.
Yeah.
In this version, I was like, this is, hello?
Yeah, the only...
Like, okay,
the only thing that, like, in my notes, I think I wrote it down, that I can think of is we don't see it as much, but obviously she's in her class, and they do have those moments of where she's, like, hugging her, and she makes the you're gonna squeeze all the air out of me, but I saw it as, like, two trauma bonding people coming together.
I didn't even think that they had trauma bonded that much to get, like, it felt so, like, I was like, that's a stranger. And sorry, like, I love Miss Honey. I love the ideal behind it. I love the thought, but you don't know her. Yeah. And she doesn't know you. Like, I was a little bit like,
bond more in other like, maybe that's why I didn't think about it that much, because I am used to them being, like, super duper close. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of, you know, that's the way it's always been. So I didn't really think about it until you brought it up. But yeah, no, they definitely aren't as bonded as they are in the original, like, 90s movie.
Yeah. So that was my only, like, qualm, was I was like, Miss Phelps takes her. Mm-hmm. Miss Phelps takes her. Like, wait. Yeah. So, of course, and then, like, oh, he's like, you want to take my daughter? And she's like, you just called me your daughter, not your son? And I was like, I don't care. He's a bad dad. I don't care. No. Yeah. Stop.
Well, it's even more so in the 90s version. Like, he's like, but even the mom, she's like, you're my only daughter. Like, yeah. I don't want to leave you. And I was like, yes, you do. Come on. Shoo.
Get out of here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was a little bit like, no. But, yeah, and so then, of course, they go to the house, they start fixing up the house, they fix up the school, it's this happy place, the end, yay, everybody's happy. This is such a cute movie. This is really cute. I can't wait for Ruby to watch it, because I think she can watch it. It's so cute. I love it. It is cute. Feel good, like, at a 9, out of 10. Mm-hmm. Really good, feel good movie. Overall, I'm like, seriously, like, an 8, 9. Like, it's really cute. It's so good.
We're on the same page.
It's solid.
We're on the same page. Yeah. And
then, of course, my favorite outfit is when she's stretching. In the yellow silk gown or whatever, jumpsuit.
And I don't know that I could find a picture of it. I might have to, like, find it on my TV and, like, actually take a picture of it. That I think it's what she's wearing when he's yelling at her, like, you spent all the money, and she's, like, standing in a corner, and whatever she's wearing, I was just remembering, like, her hair is, like, all kind of to the side, and she's like all done up. Like, obviously she had just spent the money that he got on that outfit. Because it was like, that I'll have to look that up, but really anything she wore, I was like, yes. And then I remember, and I don't think it is, like, how pretty it is, but what Trunchbull is wearing when she's doing the physical activity, where she's like this big burly woman who's obviously doesn't have very much feminine qualities to her, but has a skirt on of sorts.
Yeah, like a old school tennis skirt.
Yeah,
But I think that's what they used to make.
With pants underneath it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just thought that like little tiny flare of like, I'm still a woman. Yeah.
I'm still scared of newts.
Yeah. Yeah. It cracked me up, so I was like, that's funny. How it's just like a little femininity there.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and like this movie doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of costuming because obviously they're at a school with uniforms and stuff. But like I feel like they make, again, like every ounce of take they have. I mean, Miss Phelps looked like a bohemian goddess. Like I was kind of in love with everything Miss Phelps wore too. Like she just looked comfortable and slouchy and just really like, you know, Bohemian Library.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, they
Miss
made
Wormwood looked like a stereotypical like 70s, 80s bombshell.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, Miss Wormwood. I thought you meant Miss Honey. I was like, Miss Honey's outfits.
No, Miss Wormwood.
Miss Wormwood looked like a 80s Barbie. Like I kept getting very, and I guess maybe because I've been seeing a lot of the Barbie like stuff coming up, but I was like, oh, she's like Barbie. Like I was like, oh, Barbie.
I'm sure.
Come on, Barbie, let's go Barbie.
I'm sure the character of Miss Wormwood would really love that comment. Just like, yeah, I am.
It was fun.
Yeah.
This is a cute movie. What are we watching next time?
Drum roll. It is.
Oh no.
There's no way, Samara.
What? Is it Willy Wonka?
Yes.
No, it's not.
I swear. I'm going to take a screenshot of it right meow.
That's so freaking cool. Whoa, but
How does that happen?
I don't know, but I can't wait.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening and or watching episode 7 of That's One of Our Favorites. You can continue to watch us or listen to us on YouTube or Spotify at That's One of My Favorites podcast. Or if you want to get a hold of us, put some suggestions in our wheel of movie musicals. You can email us at oneofmyfaves@gmail.com. I'm excited. I mean, we've both seen this next musical several times, but
I love this movie.
I'm excited to see how giddy Samara gets over this, because I know I'll do the same when Wizard of Oz comes around or something like that. So
it is truly, like, I can already tell you right now, feel good 10.
Nostalgia
Rating 10. Doesn't matter. Singing in the Rain got an 8. Who cares? Willy Wonka's 10. Got it. Cool. Okay. Thanks, guys.
We're excited for next week.
I'm so excited.